Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War Warhammer 2 quick match gameplay. This time around we are in the Temple of Huanchi playing as the Forces of Chaos against the Forces of the Empire. For this match I wanted to try somebody who I've seen kind of bashed on a lot of videos recently as one of the worst lords in the game, and that is Prince Sigvald the Magnificent. So I've seen several videos now where he's been described as one of the worst lords in the game. I forget who's top. He's been in several top 5 or 10 lists for who's in a lot of trouble, and I wanted to try him out because Sigvald used to be a meta pick back in Warhammer 1. He was a lord you'd see pretty often. He did have a silver shield back then, but by and large his stats have kind of stayed the same or similar to what he used to be. And I haven't really understood why exactly he's so maligned. Sure, he's a foot lord, but he's very survivable. And he's got a lot of traits to make him survivable, so I wanted to try him out, see if I can make him work against Empire, who does have quite a lot of lord sniping tools. I figured, I'll go wide, I'll go on a budget, and I'll have the power of Sigvald on my side. So, looking at Sigvald here, he is kitted out. You can see he does have Striders, he's got immunity to psychology, he's an incredibly tanky lord. You've got 100 armor, he's a small model, of course. Melee attack 65 and 60. He's a better combat lord than, say, Vlad. And Vlad is already pretty tanky. You've got Regen coming in from Auric armor. He's got stand your ground or stand or die. Needs psychology. He's basically a lot like Vlad without magic, but with more survivability, in my humble opinion. Though obviously he doesn't have the potential to magically support himself, nor does he have the option for the ring, the Karstein ring. But nonetheless, he's pretty darn tanky bugger. Alongside him, we did bring 3 units of Chosen because why not? Unfortunately, no mirror guard for him, so he can't adore himself while fighting. But 3 units of Chosen, they do have silver shields, of course, 60% silver shields. In fact, the only unit in the game that has them, as far as I'm aware, and that's really good against Empire. Obviously, I figured these guys can probably out-trade great swords in a straight-up fight, and everything else they're just going to dumpster, and they can soak up missile pressure from handguns, that sort of stuff. They'll tank through a lot of cavalry charges, so I figured they'd be a good choice. We do have 2 Chaos Marauders on the flanks just to widen the line. These guys will do well against state troops, and otherwise they can just soak up fire, disrupt backlines, that sort of stuff. Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows in the back with Enfeebling Foe, not Permanent Potential, Melkos Miasma, Scroll of Shielding, and Smoke and Mirrors. And then on either flank, a very solid goon squad of double Chaos Warhounds with Poison, as well as Summoners of Rage. So my plan was that I could kind of pincer my opponent, and if I needed to, if there was a cav engagement, I could commit some hounds into the cav engagement, have others swing around the flank, that sort of stuff. Now for my opponent, and I basically have a mirror set up on the other side, where we've got double Chaos Warhounds, as well as a unit of Dragon Ogres. I do like Dragon Ogres in the matchup. They trade pretty well with most Empire stuff, and they do a lot more damage than, say, a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, because there's more of them. Now, for my opponent's build, he did decide to roll with Volkmar on his pip wagon. So, for the front line, very cheap stuff, some Spearmen with Shields, some Sigmar Sons. They are backed by 2 units of Great Swords. That said, against Chosen, these units are really not going to hold up very well. Like I said, I don't even think Great Swords will beat Chosen. I'm pretty sure Chosen manhandle them pretty hard. Great Swords have like a 15% chance to hit, so they're going to have a hard time. And then Volkmar the Grim, well, he's a threat, but he's cheap. Or he's expensive. So that's going to be that means my opponent hasn't really been able to get as much width as he probably would like. If we look at Volkmar, though, he is kitted out to the teeth. He's got Banishment. He's got everything except the miscast chance. So he's very well kitted out. He's got Jade Griffin. He's going to be a tough nut to crack, but at the same time, definitely a huge investment here on my opponent's part. In the backline, he's got this cool staggered out formation, Spearmen and Great Cannons, Spearmen and the Hammer of Witches, looking to sort of tee off and snipe me down. You can see Sigvald's already taking a hit there, but the cannons aren't really going to get much value here because all my cavalry's out on the flanks where there's trees covering them, and yeah, he can chip away at Chosen, which is nice, but he's not going to get much value, I don't think, unfortunately for him. And I have a lot of tools to compromise that. Finally, on the flank, he does have the Zimmler's Rice Guard, as well as the Royal Dwarf Fights to provide some mobile anti-large. They're backed by Light Wizard, who has Frost Protection and Net of Mintok. An accident like Exorcism, it happens. I've accidentally done that myself. You really don't want it in any matchup that's not undead, but oh well, what can you do? Anytime here I'm pushing forward, I'm not aware of my opponent's cav here, but I kind of suspected this army here was too small to not have some cav somewhere. So when these guys come charging out of the woods, we are actually going to respond relatively quickly. And we're immediately pulling away. You can see running for dear life there, trying to extricate ourselves from these angry relative fights. But unfortunately, a hound does get snared there. One unit is going to get caught out by the relative fights and immediately get Sarah routed. Because, of course, they don't like that. In the meantime, though, on this flank, because my opponent had that very expensive Lord choice, he's got this artillery, he doesn't have the tools to defend himself. So here I'm able to get the Hounds in, and I'm going to be able to start detaching them and getting into this backline. In the meantime, in the front, you can see the Griffites and the Resentment Droids Guard getting into Chaos Marauders before they can really make contact with these spears. But, you know, the Chosen coming in pretty healthy. They haven't really taken too much damage. And now you can see we're kind of getting into the back line here. The puppies are in the cookie jar. You can see they're on top of the Hammer Witches crew. These guys almost made it, didn't quite get in there. Over here, the Chaos Warhounds with Poison and Summers of Rage diving in on top of the Zintler Rice Guard and the Royal of Fights. I hit them with an Enfeebling Foe to make them a lot weaker. And we're going to dive into the fight here. But unfortunately, my opponent is a little savvy. He's going to pull his Royal of Fights away because they're enfeebled. And he's actually going to go chasing after my Chosen. Banishment over here does wander off, does some damage to my Chosen, does some damage somewhere, I guess. But in the front line here, the Chosen are going to butcher the Sigmar Sons. It's not even going to be close. Chosen are amazing, and Sigmar Sons are good, but not that good. Over here, though, the Dragon Ogre's pulling out of the woodwork, coming in from the flank. The Summoners of Rage here get slowly but surely sliding out with the Zintler's Rice Guard. This is not an ideal situation for him, because they don't have great armor, so Zintler's Rice Guard will do some work against them. Especially with the buffs coming in for them for Volkmar to give them more melee attack and melee defense and all that. But, you know, we've got our caster in here. We're going to dive in with the Dragon Ogres. They're going to get on the Sensuous Rice Guard. You can see immediately they're going to start losing models. They're getting taken to Pound Town. Spear's kind of pouring in here as well, which is not what we want. But if we can take these Sensuous Rice Guards to task, we'll be in a pretty good spot. Elsewhere, Sigmar Sun's getting taken offline. I do cast a Chain Lightning over here, which is going to roast some Royal Sacrifice. You can see one of those guys actually went down there, completely annihilated. So it roasts these guys pretty bad. It roasts my own Chosen as well, and they actually get terror routed by the Grit fights there. But we're able to get a lot of value here against these Great Swords, against the Grit fights. And the Grit fights are now stuck in against the Dragon Ogres, but the Dragon Ogres, you know, they've got 12 models. It's 12 to 12, and the Dragon Ogres are in much better shape than the Grit fights. And then my Sorcerer just came back, so you can see we're just cycle charging in against the Spearmen, against those guys with their Hounds. And the front line at this point has collapsed. My Hounds have compromised the Hammer Witches. You can see it's getting wiped out the man there. Over here, this Great Cannon crew is constantly getting taken offline. They're going to try to get back on, but at this point we've pushed through. We're into the cookie jar. We're going to get the spears, so the last reserve is being thrust into the line. Over here, we have kind of mopped up the Royal fights. They're down to the last two models, so not really capable. The Zintler's Guard on 10. Volkmar and the spears now coming back, but they're really in a bad spot. You can see the Great Swords here sliding out Chosen, but Chosen still have 4,000 HP. They're going to cut these guys down like nothing. Great Swords, they're good, but not that good. Chosen are just too good. Recently, Drake's going to get caught by Melkos Miasma and Hounds, which is one of those weird combos that really shouldn't work because they're so low and so crippled. They're going to go down. This guy, last second, gives up on chasing the caster, and they're going to get run down by the puppies, so that's bad for them. Over here, the Chosen and Sigvald just hacking and slashing their way through the front line. Sigvald, you can see, almost up to 40 kills. He's had an absolute field day. And over here, Volkmar is going to get snared by the very angry Dragon Ogres, by the Chaos Warhounds, and he's going to get some work done. This is something I didn't even realize in the game, but now I'm realizing that his Grand Soulfire actually probably helped a huge amount in that fight there, because these guys, the Summoners of Rage do magic damage, so probably helped a lot, and I didn't even realize it. Another Banishment does go down, damage my Chosen a bit. Not all the Chosen have had a field day. These guys kind of struggled. They only got 24 kills, or how many kills? 34. Chosen, some of them had a pretty bad day, but now my opponent's army is going to completely shatter to army losses. Volkmar still running amok, but we just have so much mass at this point. We still do have a rather healthy unit of Dragon Ogres, which is really all you need. A single unit with mass at the end here to deny the guy's ability to cycle charge, and he's going to get taken to Pound Town. So you can see Volkmar still running around his Pimp Chariot a little bit. He's actually going to get snagged here. You can see one of those Dragon Ogre Shaglets running at this path. Another one, they're just piling in all around him. We do hit him with an Overcast and Enfeebling Foe. He's trying his best. He's trying his little heart out, but it just doesn't matter at this point. My opponent is going to decide to GG out before, rather than spending an eternity waiting to whittle down Volkmar. He actually slowed him there, so he couldn't escape, or so he couldn't escape, so he was even less capable of escaping. But well played to my opponent, Reskar. I had a lot of fun with the build, and honestly, I didn't think Sigvald did badly. Now, granted, some of it could be my opponent's build, didn't really aim at sniping my Lord or anything like that. But, you know, Sigvald got in the front line, he got 41 kills, he was backing up the Chosen, he was doing his thing, he did rather well. It wasn't supremely impressed or disappointed by his performance. I think it's important to keep in mind that when push comes to shove, if we go back to our customs, it's important to keep in mind that Sigvald is relatively, rather, all things considered, he's pretty cheap when you get him out like that. So Sigvald, I didn't bring either of those items. You get Sigvald for less than 1,500. You compare that to Sarthoriel, who, let's say you want an all-in... If you bring Kolek, you obviously don't get an all-in-one lord. But let's say you want to bring Sarthoriel, you can get... Let's say you strip him down a good bit. You don't bring Standing Ground. You probably bring Arcane Conduit. Let's say just Final Transmutation, Plague of Rust. 2,100, you're still paying 600 more for Sarthoriel. Whereas Prince Sigvald with... Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows kitted out like the one I had there, and honestly I didn't have to kit him out the way I had there. I could have had him just a little more stripped down. You're looking at 840, so the difference is only slight. It's about 300 gold difference, and it's important to keep in mind that while Sarthoriel does have some benefits, he got his Fear Terror, which is really nice. He's got high missile resistance. He is a big target. He's going to be pretty easy to catch and shut down in many ways. If your opponent catches him with some Reichsguard, if you catches him with some Demigryph Knights, Sarthoriel is going to take a huge pounding. He does have more HP than Sigvald, though combined with the regen, I don't think so. Sigvald, I think, has more overall HP when you factor in his HP replenishment potential. So I do think Sigvald has some decent usage that people aren't really exploring. Also worth mentioning that Sigvald does have a shield. It's not a good shield. It's only 35%, but he is very tanky. Definitely, I would say more tanky than Sarthoriel. And obviously, I don't really want to compare him to Kolek, because Kolek, you have to bring a caster, and Kolek's much more expensive on his own, but you bring Kolek for specific reasons. He's an anti-large beast. But I do think Sigvald's not bad. People kind of bash on him, but he's cheap. And going wide as Chaos. Going wide as Chaos can be very convenient, in my opinion. You can strip your Sorcerer down more. You don't have to bring him kitted out like this. You can take out the Smoke and Mirrors. You don't even have to have a Scroll of Shielding. You know, 700 and have a decent kit. And that's literally like the same cost as a really stripped down Sarthoriel, which you might not want. If you want a more kitted out Sarthoriel, you're going to be paying more. So that's kind of my 2 cents on the matter. Sigvald, I don't think is bad. He can perform. If in case you're wondering about Archeon, who is actually getting buffed in this upcoming patch, which should be pretty cool. But let's say you bring him stripped down. I don't know what you would want. Let's say no Fireball, no Flaming Sword of Ruin. Let's say, yeah, you go completely stripped down. You don't even bring his items, which is, in my opinion, would be a mistake. Yeah, Archeon, like in its one of the cheapest forms you could get, no Kindle Flame. Because why? Well, it would be good, but let's pretend we do this. It's still 2,200. So yeah, Sigvald's really cheap. He's only 100 more expensive than the Chaos Lord. If you try to go cheap with the Chaos Lord, strip him down, and don't bring any items, you're looking at like 1,200, but you don't get the regen. So Sigvald is much tankier than a Chaos Lord. He's got better melee defense. He's got better weapon strength, which doesn't really matter that much. He's got Strider. He's got Expert Charge defense. Doesn't have the shield, but Sigvald does have more HP and regen, which is huge. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit rambly here, but I don't think Sigvald's that bad. I think people are underestimating him, or maybe it's just that people don't experiment that much with the meta. They're kind of just like, oh, Sigvald sucks. But I don't think so. I think he's still decent. I think he still has a place. He still has a place if you are looking for something specific, for a survivable lord who is super cheap and can do some damage in a frontline fight. Take Sigvald. He's not bad. It's not like Grimgor, who's going to get beaten, his shit pushed in by a bunch of great weapon infantry. Sigvald's got good melee defense, so yeah, I don't know. My 2 cents on the matter. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you found it entertaining and perhaps a little informative, if you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share. If you have any comments, any criticism, as usual, if you think Sigvald's crap and don't agree with me, or if you think he's great, or if you had some great uses with him or some strats with him that you'd like to share, be sure to leave me down comments down below. I'd love to hear you guys' opinions and respond as soon as I can. I do appreciate you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.